Hello, my name is Amanda Clemen Scott, and I am making this presentation for my summer cultural diversity class through the University of South Dakota. Today I will be presenting on Appendix 4 regarding fair trade. Question 1 asks which method I think would work better for improving worldwide working conditions, voluntary or law, creating the conditions and the benefits of each approach. I believe that voluntary methods will only get you so far. I think it's great. So many companies have started the process of their own, but other companies view profits as the number one priority. And they are not going to make the change unless forced by law. The benefits of voluntary are that it takes little mandating or effort to enforce. There are no groups that have to monitor and ensure that things are being done. The drawback can be little participation, though it's not easy to measure success when it's unmandated. The benefits of law being created are greater participation. Because they have to. Once you take the choice out of it, companies will participate and workers are going to see the benefits of that. The drawback is enforcing it. The new laws and ensuring that it's being followed is going to be costly, but you're also going to have continuous teams that are going to measure the success of that and ensure that it's being followed. A great example of there are many companies that choose to do the right thing just because it's the right thing. And there are other organizations that put profits first. So many companies have new CEOs that come in and are immediately asked to either turn things around for an organization, or they have pressure that the leader that they're following was great, and so they also need to ensure that profits are being met. Supporting article of this is Maislin and DeVell. This article looked at the relationship between free trade and fair trade and the benefits to developing companies. While it has widely been promoted and assumed that fair trade would help developing countries, that did not end up being the case. Their study actually found that neither free or fair trade were always beneficial to the developing countries. It can be dangerous to assume that people will have the same definition of the term fair trade, and that is why laws need to be created to identify what just and fair trade really is and how an organization will be able to support it. Left up to a company to determine, many will do what they feel is best for their company profit. Both free and fair trade do have a wide number of benefits to the developing country, though, so it is still positive to work with these countries on trade. And the next question that I'm going to look at is how can we better understand the relationship between fair trade and gender equality in less developed countries? We live in a changing world where the expectation is no longer that women stay at home and care for the children. Some companies are taking longer than others to accept these new social norms, though. In developing countries, women are still at a serious disadvantage. Not only getting a job, but promotions. Women start with a disadvantage that will follow them through their entire careers. In many cases. And it's not just a problem in developing countries. This is something we still see in the United States today. And a great example of that is the gender pay gap. I have a few examples of this in my own experience. I work in a very male-dominated industry that unfortunately still sees men believing women aren't as capable. While no company is going to openly admit to discrimination, I've seen it firsthand throughout my career. While hiring for an accounting position, I was told by the hiring manager that a woman he interviewed was his absolute first choice, but he would not hire her because she was pregnant. He didn't have the capacity on his team to get through what her upcoming maternity leave would be, and she was adamant that she would have more children and that he would be in a tough spot with each maternity leave that she would take, so he was going to hire the less qualified person. I also had a hiring manager hire 3 students fresh out of college with very equal experience. The 2 men were offered the same wage while the woman was offered $10,000 less because he didn't feel her experience was as comparable to the others. And when I made a case for it, I was told not to question him and his methods. And I think that's something we still see today. In the supporting article for this, Cunningham and McCann completed a study looking at the hiring success of pregnant versus non-pregnant job applicants. The study used undergrad students in business to look at the results. The results of this study suggest that in spite of being viewed as equally qualified, committed, dependable, and a fit for the position, the pregnant applicant received significantly lower hiring recommendations from both male and female raters. While this study was completed in the United States, fair trade is looking at developing companies. This means that the statistics are likely worse and less regulated. Thank you, and I have included my works cited in my outline of the presentation.